The over is.
Yeah, he's a complete deal over in television. Fifteen years. He does radio, he does sports program. Big. So he in some players and stuff like that. So he's basically been the content been running on the network, which is good.
Yeah, you online.
We're not sisters of faith.
So,
All right, give me a count.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Chapalins Podcast. I am J. Francis Springs, your host this evening, along with the host of the program, Brother Winston Ball. So we're going to start out by saying good evening, Brother Paul. How are you this evening?
doing outstanding, Brother Jay. What about yourself?
Man, best day of my life got better when I saw you.
Same here. When I hear the voice of God, I know.
Come on, brother. Come on.
Man, it's good to be here with you again, Brother Jay, and just talk about things that's on our minds, things that we can think on.
Yes, sir.
Things we can think on these things.
Let me go back a minute. You talked about the last time you were talking about different subjects dealing with Christianity, dealing with the Bible, dealing with a couple of other religions. Share with the listener what the foundation of your program is all about. So, or not the listener, the viewer, so that they'll have an idea of where we're going with that.
Okay. Well, I think I can describe the foundation program is to really just create a dialogue
Right.
between the parishioners and pastors and people on the subject matter of Christian thought and where we are, where we are. Think about let's review our purpose and our mission for the church. And so we talk about now here. be in certain settings, you hear about this the great falling away.
Yes, sir.
Talk about falling away, the lack of membership. But we need to look at ourselves and not look at the people outside about why they're falling and everything. And our falling away is probably because of our lack of being in tune, in touch, and to what's taking place. Everything within it. We're just going through so many rituals within the church. We're not actually being effective on the outside of the church.
Now, I grew up in the church. And when I say grew up in the church, 7 days a week, I was one of those drug kids. I was drug to church 7 days a week, brother. The foundation that I got, I don't see in the churches anymore that I deal with. What do we need to do to bring back that old-fashioned standard of raising a child and what is it, train a child in the way he should go and he will not depart from it?
Yes, that's well, that's the biblical context.
Yeah.
Train up a child and raise a child in the way to go. And when he departs, he would return to his
Roots.
his roots
Yeah.
of his teaching. I think we have lost the roots
Okay.
of teaching. Have we had the roots of the teaching? We've been so much surface dwellers that I don't think we've really just had roots. We haven't really just engaged in study of how we were coming out of slavery and coming through the Jim Crow era, coming through the civil rights movement, and so on and so forth. What took these things that took place and how it conditioned us in our minds and so forth. I mean, when we look at that change in mindset, we have to change mindset before we change outcomes.
Exactly.
And everything. And so to change the outcomes, you start changing behaviors. When you start changing behavior, you start changing actions of other people. So our teachers more so, and I must say, let me
Come on, break it.
let me preface this and say, I'm not against the church. I'm in the church. I'm out of the church.
Yeah.
I just don't. My lack of confidence in the church is a thing now because I see so many of us not being attentive
Right.
to those needs of the community. We got people doing great things. I'm not taking away what people are doing and everything, but I think it's time to take it to another level. We're too individual in what we do, and we need a collaboration of the people of all the churches. I just moved back here to Atlanta from South Carolina.
Okay.
We have a small church in Barno, South Carolina, Jehovah Baptist Church.
Okay.
Number of church, good people and everything, but the churches are small, they're rural, and so forth. You got some in the larger community, but they're still compared to mega church, they're still medium-sized churches and everything. And the work that needs to be done in our community needs to be done not just by individual churches, but it needs to be done by groups of church. That's really what our associations are for. Ministerial Church Association.
Right.
Your state conventions, your national conventions. But we have to question about what we're doing on all those different levels.
Yeah.
Everything. And is there anything top down? I can't recall. I don't want to just throw things out there, but I just can't recall in my time anything top down that we agreed and teached on that would be uplifting to people. And so I always go back to the nation. They have a top down
Nation business.
the nation. They have a top down a way of teaching that everybody's on the same page. You don't know. You go in about you don't know what page everybody's on.
Exactly.
Everybody got their own thing going. It's no
The interpretation.
Yes, there's no continuity
Okay.
in the sense of what's going on with that churches.
As we talk about the church, I keep hearing people say, well, the church is in you, and you don't have to necessarily be in a building. Share with the viewer out there what the church is really structured for and about.
Wow.
Yeah, I got you deep on that one.
Well, I mean, I was always taught. Let me go back to how I was taught.
Okay. Yeah.
I was taught from my youth that this was the temple
Exactly.
of God. This is His throne.
Yeah.
He sits on the throne. And when you think about that, but I never had that. When I think about it, I was taught that as a child, but it's never just been a continuous thought of teaching throughout the ministries that I've been in. Because we've gotten so into the church, the four walls of the church, that we forget about this really is the church.
Yes.
But when you speak of the church, also when you speak of upon this right, I'll be of my church. He's speaking of building a government that would overrule the government that was presently here. He said, I'm not of this world. So he said, he wasn't trying to become. That's why he's doing this. The school talks about separating yourself from it. We're supposed to be an institution that would rectify what was presently taking place. We're supposed to be the new world that's coming into existence.
Exactly.
So when that's in short. I mean, there's a lot more can be said with that, but in short, that we supposed to be that movement. But we'll become so assimilated now into the system of things, the world of things. We're no different than outside.
Now the mainline religions are teaching one God, and so as I've read the Quran, I've read a couple of other books, and the one God they're speaking of, the one God that we know from the Bible, doesn't have a name. So as we look at all of these other entities, which one is supreme? I know that's a deep question.
I apologize for that. The question was out of
all of the names of God, which one? And folks, please forgive me. I've got a little silence going on here this afternoon, and so I've got a little silence script. But out of all of the gods, as we recognize them, the mysterious God, the one that has no name, and these other religions, which one right now is most prevalent?
Well, there's only but one God.
Come on now.
So I mean, what you asking about, you're asking about the different aspects of God,
Right.
And everything. So his different attributes and so forth. That's what you're talking, because each name means something.
Yes.
And everything. So it's talking about different attributes of God. So it's not giving names to God. I mean, you can't really just name God.
He's still the same
He's
God.
still the same God. I mean, but you look at his attributes, and what his different attributes are.
Yeah.
Is that Jehovah Jireh? He's for provide.
Exactly.
Jehovah Shalom, he's peace. So these are attributes of God. I mean, of who God is and how he comes and plays a part in our lives.
Yes. Now, we talked about the Chapalins Podcast. Each week, you're going to be bringing on a different subject. The dialogue that you're wanting from the audience, how can they share that with you? Is there an email address that they can send in a question?
Yes, I actually do it. Send it out. We should be having to post by the next viewing for us the website connection, or how you post your questions, or if you want to become involved in the dialogue of what the church is and what's its mission and what its purpose is at this time.
So we're going to be accepting questions from the viewing audience.
Yes.
That you'll get each week, and then you'll open up the topic.
Right.
Where are you right now in your relationship?
In my relationship with God.
With God.
You know what? It's being in a relationship with God is always a journey.
Yeah. It never ends.
It never ends. You always it's always a growing and studying thing, because the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about God.
Yeah.
I mean, because we are a reflection of who He is, and the struggle that we have. And I guess I don't want to get too far off the question. The struggle that we have is that we struggle with the self.
Mm-hmm.
That evil within, if we could master the evil within, we don't have to worry about the evil that was without.
Okay.
But we got controversies within our own minds. We're no, as we say coming out, say I'm no longer consider myself a victim of slavery because I know what has been done. Now it's what do we do now? And everything. Think on this. We need to have one of those discussions. Think on these things.
Think on these.
Yeah, because why would you expect someone who has it's just someone who has done all the things, the monstrous things that they could do to you? Why would you think they would come back and just hand you something? And seeing that this time we're still looking for that, which instead of coming and bringing our nickels and dimes and dollars together, we still have, looking for what government. I had a conversation right after, what is this, 46 or 47?
47.
47.
Well, actually, he's 48. 46, 47, yeah, 48 somewhere.
We don't really call his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, when he came back in, I was asking, some of this, hey, what's the conversation going on with the pastors? What's going on? And I was a little discouraged because Minnow was speaking about and thought it was saying, what they were looking for is government funding for the food banks and so on and so forth. Now, I mean, I know the food bank helps a lot of people, and it does. But we still, it's still poison for food at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not the best of foods with everything. But it does help those who do not have. So I'm not speaking against it. But my problem with that is that we worry about what they need to take, but what are we not doing and discussing what we do next? Why are we still looking for someone who's going to already shown to us that when they give you take on one hand, give you on one hand and take on the other?
Yes.
How long do we have to go through this process of back and forth? I mean, once you show me who you are, Brother Jay, I kind of know who you are.
Exactly.
And they have shown us who we are. So why are we still back and forth and not really galvanizing to really talk ourselves and say, and put our resources together to do and build economics within our own area, regions, and areas.
Now, these are the kinds of discussions and questions that you want the viewer to send in to you. Let me remind the audience, this is the Chapalins Podcast with Brother Winston Paul. I'm sitting in with him because the brother has so much knowledge and so much energy. I learn something every time I sit down with him, folks. Winston, I want to ask you a question, and this is for the viewer out there that may be also looking to learn. For the individual that is seeking truth, what is one of the first documents or first pieces of literature, or where should they start searching for light? Yeah.
There's levels of understanding.
Exactly.
People start at different places. It depends on whether their reading habits are and so forth. But to answer your question, I thought about this because you asked a similar question time before. Books start reading, and then let me preface that this is not Bible class.
Right. This is education.
This education. I think one book is simple for people who's just starting. And I hate saying it like that, like people don't read. We really don't.
Man, it took me a long time to get through the numbers. once I got to the numbers, I was through.
What was that?
The
levels. So one book I wrote that the Broader Files.
Okay.
That's probably one of the first books I read coming out of high school, going into college. I think the Broader Files, and it opened me up to want to read other studies on literature, African literature, Egyptian literature. So the Broader Files is one. Now, if you want to lean into on the other side, of the church side, I think the 16 crucified saviors by Graves is a good book to read.
Mm.
That's a insight on the background of who Jesus story.
Okay.
Because it's been told before.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are what we need to institute within church. Instead of just have the Bible study, we need to have book club and have different book clubs that we bring in and read books and then go back and stuff, because it would help enlighten a lot of the things that we thought we knew for us in scripture-wise. So I mean, it's just good to read different things against the text.
Okay.
And everything, because some people only think the text is 46,000 years old, and the text is much older.
Yes, sir. And they're still discovering texts.
They still discover
every day.
Well, and some of those texts they're discovering are still similar texts. They're texts that just been our people have a way of doing things. They hear things in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Just to show you that we've been.
Yeah.
And everything. So some of these texts you find they support the texts already that we have already. Give more insight to the text. These guys like Dr. Smalls, I can't think of Dr. Smalls' first name. They have podcasts. Dr. Carr on you got the Happy podcast.
Okay.
So these are different groups. I mean, they just give historical data and giving background to history and political updates as we go along. It's just good to kind of listen out to some of these personnel. I listen to a lot of people, students from the Minister Fair Conference. That you can see that they're part of his branch.
Yeah.
New Muhammad.
Yeah.
And everything. It's another brother. And I'm not good with first name, but it's another Muhammad. For the book of I think it's a must read.
The fascinating thing you were saying a moment ago about all of the different books we were talking about. I read an article not long ago about here in this country, there are certain parts of the country, and I won't say Grand Canyon, that people are starting to find hieroglyphics and Egyptian writings that were similar to what is in the country of Africa, on the continent of Africa. So those writings are universal, am I correct?
They are. I will make reference to on those because the brothers already covered before Columbus.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of, they were here before Columbus. Let's really look that up right here. But it's a book out. They were here before Columbus. Something like that. And I apologize. I can't.
This is why we're having this conversation.
Right. I can't think of his name, but those are books that need to be read. Those books, it's nothing wrong with reading those type of books in church.
Great.
And having people discover, because it gives you more insight to who you were and not thinking, and it unearths a lot of the things that you've been taught that were wrong. Because what that was all being done then, that was happening here, and it goes before some biblical time.
Right. As we talk about biblical times, for the average person, they don't understand that those 66 books that we're reading now, that's not the total content of the Bible. There were certain texts that were taken out of the Bible because another particular denomination found them to be heresy or heretic teaching.
I wouldn't use a particular denomination. This is you talk about the setting up of a Christian institute. This is all being done at the time when you were setting up the church.
Yeah.
So it's not a certain this was the system that was put in place.
Okay.
So that's another conversation. And those are the kind of conversations we'll be having and bringing the experts in to kind of give the historical data.
Yeah.
I'm not a historian.
And we're not experts.
I'm not an expert, but I have enough knowledge on it to know what's right, what's wrong. You know, I can connect the dots.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So let me go back to the question right now. I'm a brand new seeker of the word. So you've given me some insights on where I should start reading. What right now is the hottest topic dealing with denomination, religion, dealing with the education of what this universe is all about? What is going on out there right now? And let me be a little more precise. We were talking about the leadership of this country, and we're going to the First Amendment. Now, there are certain things that they don't want us to talk about. They don't want us to talk about our history. So, how do we overcome that?
Well, that goes back to how we open up. We're talking about what our churches need to be doing.
Yeah,
We're talking about an education project. I mean, what will take place? What will happen once they finish corrupting the Department of Education? We see this taking place. That's my question to the people. When you see this taking place, what are we going to do?
yeah.
I mean, are we just going to let them strip us or anything? And the books they're taking out, we're not even reading already. We're not even teaching. Yeah, what kind of and now there are some churches too. I was just in one, Dr. Fred Robinson church. If you go in there, you can see African sayings and imprints all around the church.
Right.
Everything different with different his perspective. He's about the only one that I know just to speak, to just give a shout out to my brother, Dr. Fred Robinson. He's on, I know who he just went and taught about the Nicene Creed.
Okay.
In his church to break.
Not the apostles, but the Nicene.
Nicene Creed.
Okay.
You know, everything. So those discussions that opens up windows opportunity for you to broaden people's perspective and everything, and kind of move from these traditional things as Methodists to a system that would elevate us, evolve us more so than sitting back waiting and looking for the pie in the sky.
Winston, this is kind of one of those deep questions. Why are there so many different denominational theories about God? You got your Methodists, and you got your Catholic, and you got your Episcopals, and there's only one God.
Well,
Didn't mean to put you on the spot with that one.
everybody has a opinion.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Well, the devil's in the details of it.
Come on now.
Because where the vision is, I mean, I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, and where there's no vision, the people perish.
Yeah. So with that, the vision is. So that's goes on another. You see, you need to be asking the historian.
Okay.
Those questions. I do have an answer per se, but in a historical perspective, when you think about Martin Luther and the breaking off of the church for Protestants, I mean,
We just
with the said, I mean, breaking up from the Catholic Church, we know all about that for his thing Protestant. We are Protestants.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to with Protestants, which it comes from that from protesting. I don't know what we protested now, but I don't think we're protesting too much anymore. But that's that's the term Protestant came from. So and then from that, then you have the breakoffs from that. Because when we broke off from the white church, then we come up with the different Methodist church, AME and so forth.
And
So you see CME
Yeah.
church. So they have these those persons. Part of that is to break it off from what we went through in slavery and being not welcome in their church. But I watched that. I just watched we watched Nat Turner, the Building of a Nation.
Yeah.
And I watched in that movie, and it's a good movie. I think people should watch. But it showed how even when Nat beginning started out preaching that he would have to have a chaperone with him as he go and he was told what to preach to the people.
Okay.
and everything. As he went from, I think we should call them itinerant preachers.
Yeah.
When they go from place to place.
Yeah.
So, but he was an itinerant preacher
Sure.
amongst the
Among the circuit. Yeah.
among the slave communities.
Okay.
So they took him and they told him what they, and that's I always wondered. And this came to later in years. My grandma, they didn't like you reading those scriptures, master serve, that masters servant to your master, slave serve your master. These very quotes, and they had problems with that particular when you got that particular scripture when we read it sometimes. Because I grew up in a family, read scripture here, but that particular scripture, it would kind of
Grade them a little bit.
Make break some ruffles in it when you read that particular scripture. But I think we've gotten away from your question. But there's that was a lot of. I was trying to get back around to what they did, and of course, how our churches end up coming out of their church, and everything. And if you go back to Southern Baptists and some of these other groups that came out of, they have documentation of and records and how they brought us in, and when they let separate from them what the numbers and what we had and starting our first churches. They in this book called the instructions of the slaves and everything. It's what they kept a census on how when they converted us, how they converted us, and everything. And they would do things such as this right there. It was simple. They would line the slaves up, and until the one confessed that he believed, they would kill each one before him. They would have women and the children watch that and everything. Heartbreak. I mean, those type of things they were. So they kept, like I said, they kept on record all the conversions of slaves 2%.
Yeah.
And everything. You got to think about that.
Yeah.
Well, how you if my conversion is based on love, it ain't based on you killing my those beforehand to make me believe in what we call it's called percent.
Yeah.
So those are different books that we need to understand why even our Muslim brothers always say, that we are preachers who are licensed by the white,
right?
And that's where that a lot of it comes from that traditional thing, and how we really do it. Slavery, we had to go through there to start our church, to preach it, and they would have someone there with us and trying to make sure we're preaching.
Now, is that where the songs came from that kind of gave us the sign to gather at the river, whatever the song was?
Those songs, a lot of
Message song.
Message song, tread in the water,
Wade in the
water. The dogs can't trail you. That trail you in the water. You have a lot of songs that that have deeper meanings. I think about I know it was the blood. We think that we seen that on communion Sunday. As the blood, but the blood is so much in the blood that your DNA makeup, everything is in the blood.
Okay.
Everything your makeup that connects you to thousands of years of generations of people. It's all in the blood. It's in your DNA. I remember I used to watch Quincy back in the day. When you look up, and they could tell from a bone, they could tell what you did, who you were.
Yeah.
And everything was just from
just the marrow.
The marrow.
Yeah.
It's so much in that. So when you say it was blood that saved me, it's something about your DNA that is more true than what you say. It is information that that's not my platform.
Okay.
My platform once again is to get a dialogue with pastors and church to move to a point of action that we're moving together. I mean, whether we do it within our associations, various associations, whether we do it in a state convention, whether we do it state and national convention, because we're behind. We still behind.
Speaking of dialogue, are you available for people that invite you to come out and hang out with them and share some of the thoughts that you're sharing with me?
Oh, always. I've been fellowship with some of my brothers, and even with your pastors.
Yeah.
Everything. So, we're always what we're trying to do is really trying to create a community and like-minded.
Mm. What right now is a hot subject for you?
But right now, it's a hot
What
subject.
right now is a
A hot
hot subject?
subject. For me, it's collaboration.
Okay.
The hot subject for me is collaboration. I'm willing to work with anyone in the community and to talk about these issues and see where we go next one. And we bring in the people. We can raise the question, but we need to find answers to the question also. And there are those out there that have those answers. There are different groups that we can tie our associations, our churches to. They can help lead us and guide us in this process. So there are answers to our questions. We just need to see
Right.
what we will find,
Right.
and not what the doors can be open to it. And we do those things, and I'm quite sure we'll be all right.
Who is this Winston Paul guy? Where does this philosophy come from? I know that put you on the spot.
But I've always struggled. I've told my story. I come up in the tobacco fields of South Georgia,
Okay.
and so forth, and I felt quote unquote my calling to the ministry when I was young. Didn't answer till I was 25.
Yeah.
And started this journey, but I was always intrigued about people of the Bible and blacks in the Bible and all that. So I always just in itself what it would talk. And at times I would get answers from I grew up at a time where you couldn't ask too many questions.
Exactly.
And so if you ask the question, he asked why. He said because I said so. I can even preach.
Yeah.
He said I said so. So I forget the question I asked Reverend E.J. Jr., who baptized me, and it was because I said so. I ain't never asked him anything else. But it's just my years of just connecting dots. I'm not the most real person I read. I'm not the most real person, but I connect the dots, and I ask questions.
Well, let me dispute not being the most read person because I have to see the library, my brother, and I know it's some deep stuff in that library. I had a chance to read a couple of books. I was like, yeah, I like this. Yeah. So, go ahead.
And people, I've grown to the point now that I'm not trying to persuade anyone. We just have a conversation. But your mind, you know truth when you hear it.
Yeah.
And it's like when you get wisdom, when you get knowledge, I mean, you get it, but what you do with it, because it's all about application. Mm-hmm. So we can all get well-rounded in the knowledge part of it. But what we're gonna do once we get it, and that's about the thing where we are now. The conversation that went on last week, the text that went out last week, I mentioned on the last podcast as well. I got a text from different brothers that hey, white preachers are acknowledging that we are the true Israelites. I'm like, okay, that's old news. I mean, first of all, it's not new. So we had to have white folks to tell us that they know who we are.
Yeah.
Versus we already knowing that and everything. It's not about being a race thing or a black and white thing. It's just a fact.
Yes.
Of history and everything, and knowing who we are. So we right now it's not a part of about talking about the black, but we need to know who we are. Mm-hmm. and know what that history is. But at the same time, it's time for us to start putting things in action.
Yeah.
And moving forward. That's what we need.
This is the Chapalins Podcast. You're listening to Brother Winston Hall, who is the host of the program. I'm sitting here co-hosting it and trying to keep the dialogue going. Brother Paul, somebody out there that might be struggling with something today, share an encouraging word.
Hey, the greatest healer is within you. The healer is within the world. Understand that you everything you need is within you. Stop looking out and look within. Your power is within.
Yeah,
If you say you can do it, you can do it. If you say you can't do it, then you may not. But believe that you can, and know that you can, and make it do what it do.
this is the Chapalins Podcast. I'm Jay Francis Springs. I am enjoying these dialogues and conversations that we're having. Can you share with again the information about how somebody might be able to reach you? Or and I know you said it's going to be coming up soon, but is there an immediate number or an immediate email address or website?
I think it's Chapalins Podcasts at gmail.com.
Okay, Chapalins Podcast.
The Chapalins Podcast at gmail.com.
Okay, close the door because it's your program.
It's the time for us to just wake up and be the people that God has called us to be. Let's not just quote scripture, but be that what's in the scripture. It says that ye are God's children of the Most High God. Why do we ignore that?
Amen.
Even if you was created in His image and in His likeness, you're a reflection of it.
All right.
So why not just be that?
Amen. Well, folks, you heard it from the man himself, Brother Winston Hall. I am Jay Francis Springs. Today is the best day of my life, and I thank you for allowing me for a few moments to be a part of your life on the Chapalins Podcast on Phoenix Media Entertainment Group.
All right. She was texting. Hey, are you here still here? Okay, I'm walking out the door.
Sorry about that, Barb.
That's Christmas. That was my hand brother. That's the guy.
Okay.
Time with we were Robert Tech.
Okay. So that's your half brother, huh?
Yeah, he good folk, man. Good folk.
He's still here?
No, he go.